Everyone, hope you're doing well. Let's talk about Lucas Paqueta, or Lucas Paqueta, as Gonzo now calls him. He's converted to the Paqueta side from the Paqueta side. I remain on the Paqueta side. I'm stubborn and I'm old school. Anyway, Gonzo, we've got 3 topics. I wanted to do a video about Paqueta because I think there's a few things I want to discuss about him. So I've got 3 topics regarding him. You can pick what we're going to discuss first, but we are going to do all 3 in this video. You've got keeping Paqueta, Paqueta's position, or Paqueta giving the ball away. Which one would you like to start with?
The last one stays last. Let's go with Paqueta's position, because this is really interesting, Geo. I'll kick you off with this. Actually, I will not give the ball away. I will cushion it on my instep, do a little shimmy, and then pass it back to you. But what I'm telling you is, Lucas Paqueta, you lured me in there and I actually said it. Lucas Paqueta is our best left-sided midfielder, is our best attacking midfielder, and maybe even our best number 8, actually. So I think Lucas Paqueta, his best position, I still think it's attacking midfield, actually, but he's given David Moyes a problem. He's given Saïd Benrahma an even bigger problem. And that is that he's just so much better than anybody else on that side. I do think until Moyes gets or Steiden or whoever's doing the wheeling and dealing, get somebody else in on that left-hand side, I think that's where we're going to see him for the majority of games.
I don't mind it, truth be told, because I don't think he plays on the left side. I think it's more of a paper position, if you like. So when the graphic comes up before the game, is he on the left? He is on the left. But where is he during the game? I mean, he is out there quite often. I think he tends to be out there in the first half. In the second half, he just completely disappears. He goes wherever he wants to. But we'll get on to that, because I think Moyes is trying a thing with him, and I'm intrigued by it. I'm not convinced, but I'm intrigued. But when he's out on the left, he goes wandering, and I kind of like it, because it's then very difficult to mark. We saw it against Man City in particular, that in the first half, he was dropping into like defensive midfield almost. He was beside Alvarez, so he could get on the ball and try and make things happen for us. He wasn't getting much joy out there. Kyle Walker's a tough player to play against, so off he went to get the ball, and I like that, having a player with that responsibility, but having a player with that permission, if you like, to move. And I think you can probably get away with it when it's someone that's, again, on paper out on your left side. So you've still got 3 centre midfielders, so that if he does wander off, one of those can go out and cover him, which we have seen. We've seen Ward-Prowse going out there to cover that area of the pitch on occasion. Sometimes Alvarez does, but they'll cover him. But Paqueta was in the middle, let's say, with Ward-Prowse and Alvarez, and let's say Benrahma was on the left. Paqueta decides to go wandering. That could be a problem, because suddenly you're quite weak in the middle of the park. You're outnumbered in the middle of the park, and the guy that's meant to be there has gone off somewhere. So I actually think it's almost like a free role for Paqueta. Yeah. I do believe that, and I think I'm enjoying it quite a lot, actually. I think he's almost just as, if not more, influential out on that left-hand side. And as you've mentioned, he's got a great partnership with Emerson, and this allows the best partnership in the team to flourish, truth be told. So I'm not against it.
And one other thing, being on that left, if you say, even when he's sort of inside left midfield rather than left wing, inside left midfield, allows him to be in the really good position to play that ball. Now, it means he can either play the ball with his left foot down the line directly over the top, like he did for the opener against Newcastle, or he can play a more of a sweeping ball from a deep position, almost like a David Beckham cross, but from the other side, like he did for Jared Bowen's goal a couple of games ago. So I think with him in that position, he has the whole breadth of the pitch, which to sort of paint his masterpiece, basically. I think it's a good position for that pass, because it can go anywhere.
I think it helps Emerson too. I felt, it doesn't happen in every game. I felt Emerson and Benrahma's partnership, I feel they get in the way of each other quite often, because Emerson likes to underlap. Emerson doesn't mind coming in field and leaving the winger out on the wing, and he comes in the middle of the pitch and does his run. We saw it against Newcastle. He came in the underlap with Paqueta. But I often felt with Benrahma, because he hugs the touchline quite a lot and he's quite out in the corner, he's in Emerson's run, if you like, and Emerson can't run. But with Paqueta's got no interest in taking on the right back. He can't skin the right back. He can go past him with skills, but he's got no pace. He doesn't have the pace to do it. He doesn't knock it past him and run like Benrahma can do or whatever. So Emerson knows I can make a run every single time, and I'm never going to get in his way. And if anything, I'm helping him because I'm dragging that defender out of it. And I think Paqueta benefits from Emerson doing it.
Yeah.
I think Emerson benefits from having Paqueta in front of him. Actually, I think it's working really well for us, and it probably gives Moyes a little bit of an easy one in terms of who to drop, because he doesn't have to decide between Souček and Kudus or anything like that. He's able to play his midfield three, have Paqueta in the team, it suits him. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I think he's having a really good season. I think he's having a better season this one than he was for the majority of last season as well. Is it a coincidence because he's moved position? Maybe, but he's harder to mark as well out on the left-hand side. You put him in the middle of the pitch, it's easy to say defensive midfielder, just mark him, just take him out of the game. Out there, I think it gets trickier. And so, yeah.
I think there's lots of reasons. I think that's one of them. I think Emerson being in a team is another one of them, because obviously let's not forget they played at Olympique Lyonnais and their mates. And I think having the midfield sorted out, because irrespective of what you think, he won a trophy, great last season. That midfield was never sorted out. There was always a compromise there. Whatever, might have been Souček compromising for Declan Rice. That midfield was not sorted last season, and sometimes Paqueta was. Well, it wasn't last season; it was Paqueta. So the other one, he was part of an unsorted out midfield, which I know is not a technical term, but you know what I'm saying. Now there's that solid base there of a whole midfield functioning where everyone knows their job, and that's got to make it just far easier to play in that team. So I think there's probably a lot of reasons, and Moyes probably understands him better, and he's adjusted to the league.
Right, his other position, which he seems to have for the last 10, 15 minutes of the games at the minute, is like a false nine almost. He keeps appearing in this centre forward role. Is it because he's tired, or do you think it's something Moyes is intrigued by? What do you think the reasoning is?
You actually alluded to it in one of our patron shows, actually, and you said basically David Moyes got a squad of 13 players, which made me chuckle. Well, with irony, it made me chuckle with irony, because do you remember I used to say when we had Yarmolenko, I used to say, Moyes, only two players Moyes wants to use off that bench, right? And it's Yarmolenko and Lanzini. And David Moyes needs to get to a point where he can bring his own players in, where he looks at that bench and he sees more than two players he wants to bring on. And I remember you used to have said that. And when you said that the other day, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not suggesting we haven't made progress, but maybe David Moyes is incapable of doing that. I think you see him moving Paqueta around because of that. Because actually, I don't want to bring anyone else on. I don't want to take him off. I think there is a bit of him being knackered, maybe. But I just don't think he's looking on the bench and seeing loads of players that he wants to bring on, which is a problem in itself, because he has signed an awful lot of those players on the bench there. But he's just too good. He's too good, and he's so good. And if you could just... He'd also be aware that one little bit of magic, it takes one pass, one flick, and he's never so knackered that he can't do that one pass. He just gets so knackered he can't track back.
I get it in theory. I do get it. I mean, at the end of the day, if I was to tell you that Paqueta's picked the ball up and he's turning and facing opposition defence, and he's got Ben Rama, because Ben Rama's on the pitch at this point on the left, hence Paqueta being forward. He's got Ben Rama, Bowen, and Kudus all making runs off the ball. I mean, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Yeah. At the end of the day, if you're Jared Bowen and you're making a run, you want Paqueta to be the one with the ball at his feet. That's as simple as that. But it's just, I think it's more just like a fatigue thing. I think Paqueta gets tired a bit, which is understandable. He's runs around for 80 minutes. By the last 10, he's a little bit tired. I get it. And I think it's just a way of keeping your best player on the pitch, but getting him away from the role where he's got defensive responsibility, where he can't harm you because he's too tired to track back, or he doesn't want to track back. And I do feel in the last 15 minutes of games, I do feel you see him getting a little bit lazier. I think he's a bit slower. I think he gets back less and less. He's walking a bit more, which again is understandable. But this is where either Moyes should sub him because he's tired. But I don't think Moyes wants to, because, like you said, even if he is tired, he's still capable of hitting that pass that no one else in the team is. So I think Moyes just puts him in that central striker area just to sort of say, look, you go there. You can't harm us. Walk around all you want, but just make sure you do something when we get the ball. Anyway, that's about Paqueta's position. Now we're going to talk about retaining Paqueta or giving the ball away. We'll do that one later on. But while you're here, just want to point you in the direction of our Patreon at patreon.com/Hammers Chat, where you can unlock more Hammers Chat content, including our analytics series where Jack talks you through the analysis and then the tactical side of the game. We've got ex-West Ham players interviews, including Stuart Slater on Thursday, which Gonzo's doing. We've got all sorts of content over there. Online discount, ticket giveaways, merchandise giveaways, all sorts of stuff. Head over to patreon.com/hammerchat. Links in the description if you fancy supporting the channel. Massive thanks. And also, we're still doing the free trial. Join as a mild addict. You get a week's free trial as well. Right, Gonzo, keeping him. Jared Bowen, fantastic news, 7-year deal, happy days. We've kept him. But I do feel the latest on the betting scandal is that Paqueta sort of had initial meetings with the FA and he's got more coming up. He's still denying everything as you'd expect. But the conclusion doesn't feel like it's close. But at the same time, you'd imagine it would be tied up before the summer transfer window comes round. And as we know, it's no secret now that in Paqueta's contract, there is an £85 million release clause, which is eligible in the summer coming up. So, I mean, while it's good to keep Bowen, it does feel like it's going to be a bit more difficult to keep Lucas Paqueta. Have you almost resigned to losing him, but you're enjoying him as much as you can?
Yeah, a bit of that. And I'm hoping this case drags on. And I'm
or
really,
a new one arises.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to say that.
If there's any West Ham fans watching this on Paqueta Island, please can you open a Betway account and start betting on Paqueta bookings?
I understand that makes me sound really mean. And I'm a bit selfish, but I am being totally selfish on this one because he seems to be able to handle it. I mean, that's a miracle the way he's handled that. His mental fortitude. I'm amazed. I'm amazed at it. You know, I mean, we've all had things, you know, that happen in life and, you know, make it sometimes difficult to go to work. How's he manage it? I don't know. I'm amazing mental strength. And I think, you know, so... Yeah, I am a little bit resigned to it. The 85 million might have seemed. Look, he didn't at the start. He wasn't even going to come to West Ham. Let's be fair. So we had to, I think, jump through a lot of hoops to get him to sign, and that was one of the things. At the time, you never know if these players are going to work out. There would have been a point last season when we possibly wondered whether we'd get our 50 million back or whatever it might have been, whether we played up front. And now you're looking at that 85, thinking, well, that's cheap. You know, someone's going to get it and he's worth it and someone to pay it and he can play for anyone. Look, if Man City want him, he can play for anyone. Real Madrid, like they're purring at the moment with Bellingham in there. I even look at them sometimes. I think maybe he'd get in there as well. He's an amazing footballer and probably too good for West Ham. Probably needs to be playing Champions League football. So I think it's a case of enjoying him while we got him. I think there's a fool's hope that maybe he'll be so in love with. It's a romantic view. So in love with West Ham and the way we stuck with him throughout his tough times that he'll pledge his love to everyone and stay with the club. Well, I do understand how preposterous that sounds, but it is. I would be lying if I said I hadn't thought of it. But yeah, mate, you know. It'd be gutting, but we would have to be on our mettle. And we're going to have to be. It's going to be another test for this new recruitment team that we got.
Yeah, I mean the good thing is we can still make him a contract offer now and says, "Here you go, bang, 150 grand a week. You know, 5 million sign on fee. We'll get rid of that release clause, or we bump up to 100 million or whatever it is. We can still. The power's in our hands at the minute, which is we can negotiate with him and nobody else can. So essentially, we can do that. The risk is we offer him a contract when there's a betting investigation going on, and should we hand him that, and then if he gets found guilty and he gets suspended for a year, we've just given him a bumper
unless we place a bet that Lucas Paqueta is about to sign a new contract, and we cover ourselves there. Oh, that gets in more trouble.
But I mean, the funny thing is, it's only because of the betting allegation we've got him this season. And that betting thing wasn't there. He'd be at Man City at the minute, so it's worked out in our favour. But we've got a period of time to negotiate with him, and I'd imagine the club will be considering this and debating what to do. And like you say, you'd like to think that they're also looking at replacements for Lucas Paqueta. Thinking, right, we've got 85 million to spend. Because if he goes, that's how much we get. With minimum fee release clauses, they must be paid up front. So it's the 85 million cash. There you go, West Ham. Thank you very much. And there's only a couple of clubs that can afford to do that. So we'll be all right in terms of the summer, and we'll be the cash flow, whatever, will be cash rich. So
yeah, knocking on Crystal Palace's door. Sanka, can we give you 65 at this 85?
That's who I'd hope would go for, truth be told. He's one of the players I'd like to go for, or Morgan Gibbs-White, as you mentioned. He's
brilliant.
One of the other ones that I'd look at and think, hey, can we maybe get him to West Ham? Is that a possibility? But we'll have to wait and see. But I'm enjoying him, kind of thing. But the good thing is the club have got as much notice as they need on this one, and I have no issues having a release clause in the contract. Like you said, it's something we needed to do, and 85 million probably felt quite expensive when he signed it.
And his mates just signed one at Newcastle, so even a club with that much money, what did he do? 100 million, give him a rise?
Yeah, 100 million for Bruno. Yeah, but there's only so many clubs can afford this release clause. There's not many. You can count them on one hand probably that can afford to give 100 million in one go to Newcastle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Man City come along and say 85 million, but pay it over the year. Because say no, thank you. We'll have it up front, please, or we'll have 100 million paid over 5 years, thank you, whichever suits you. So it's interesting. Now the last one I'm bringing up, and before people, hang on a minute, it's because I had a few comments. Remember, done a couple of videos now, and there's always comments regarding Paqueta, and I just thought I'd nip it in the bud. So I'll pick up one of the comments. This was left in the Freiburg review, and I've left out the subscriber's name because he's a good subscriber and he comments on a lot of videos. So I don't want him to get like aggro for it. And I think it's a fair comment. He said, "I know you're a Paqueta fanboy, but how many times did he lose the ball tonight against Freiburg? And his silly tricks never paid off. Why are these aspects of the game missed by you and most others?" Now, what I will say, they're not missed. I do see them.
Ignored.
I just don't care. No, honestly, I do not care. I go back. I've often said what Bruno Fernandes has said, and I'll say it again. Bruno Fernandes told Marcus Rashford, "Don't worry about the 9 passes I get wrong. You worry about the one I get right and stick in the back of the net." And I love that. You know, Kevin De Bruyne said it not too long ago. Roughly something like, "I'm not interested in my pass success rate. I don't care. I'm not playing it safe. I'm trying the adventurous. I want assists. I want to create chances. I don't want to pass it sideways." And I'm like that with Paqueta. I want him to try stuff. I want him to try the skills. I want the entertainment. So when he's trying all these passes and some of them don't come off, I struggle to care because they haven't cost us a goal yet. And a couple of them have cost us, he gives it away in silly places sometimes. It's one of his sort of bad traits he had at Lyon, where he would try a 360 on the edge of the 18-yarder and get tackled and bang, his attack is on. So he does have it in his game, but because of what he brings to the side, I think it far, far outweighs the risk. And, you know, I've seen Fornals was never this skillful, and Fornals never had the flair of creativity Paqueta did, right? But Fornals was far more creative and skillful when he first joined West Ham than he is now. He's been turned into a workhorse. That fun aspect of his game's been removed. I don't want that to happen to Paqueta, and I don't think it will. I think Moyes allows Paqueta to play the way he does, and Moyes has said he frustrates him at times, I think Moyes is fully aware that he gets on his tits sometimes, but because of what he brings to the game, I think it's a wonderful thing. And so it's not that I and others don't notice it, we do. But we also notice the good stuff he does and the passes that come off, and that gets rid of the bad stuff pretty quickly, in my opinion.
Well, I also think we're West Ham, and I've thought this for quite some time. The perfect, I don't know, Clarence Seedorf, Pirlo, the people that never, ever give the ball away there. They're generational players. Everyone's gonna have a flaw and make a mistake. And I mean, Dave probably does frustrate David Moyes sometimes. And he frustrates me sometimes. The diving frustrates me. But what you get, as you say, for that is, I mean, Di Canio really gets lauded as a big hero at West Ham, and he really was. But he was massively flawed, massively flawed. He could have a tantrum while the opposition were attacking. You know, they'd be on the counter attack. The opposition, he's still there, thumping his fist against the floor. You know, to complain about an injustice or whatever. Wouldn't go to away games a lot of the time. You know, this is and I've often said this. Why did we have Di Canio? Well, it was because we were West Ham. If we weren't West Ham, we would have had Bergkamp or Zola or something like that. Funny enough, even Bergkamp, he had his flaws. He wouldn't get on an aeroplane, wouldn't go away in Europe. So these perfect players who have nothing, who never misplace a pass and never have anything else. Yeah, you're certainly unlikely to get genius from them as well, because a genius, you've got to try and find something so extravagant, so ridiculous, that actually these players think 2 or 3 steps ahead of everyone else. So sometimes they're playing a pass that might have been evident to them 3 or 4 seconds ago. Do you know what? It didn't actually end up like that. But when it does happen, because they've foreseen and sort of almost prophesized how the play is going to pan out, then you think, wow, how did he see that? How did he do that? I actually you just hear Jared Bowen talking about what he does when talking about Paqueta the other day. And he was saying, oh, I love it. And I love there's no one like him. And when he plays the pass coming through. And I had that in my mind when I watched that back with the final throws of the game against Newcastle. There was a big smile on Bowen's face. All right, it's sort of the keeper made a save and it just evaded Ben Rama, but Bowen cut him. But the original pass had come from Paqueta, and he looked at him and he smiled at him. If you go and watch that back again, look at what Bowen did to him, and it was a case of, oh, hey, you cheeky, I'm getting used to you. He's saying, I'm getting used to this. I knew you were going to do something a bit tricky then, and all of that stuff is just absolutely wonderful. So yeah, I don't mind. And you're right. When does it cost us? Will it cost us what? How many? It might cost us 3 goals this season. Him doing a trick and getting caught or whatever the case may be on giving the ball away. I mean, ultimately, how much more is he going to earn us back? There are far more players. I know it's not the time to dig them out. But there are players in the squad and in the team who may.
We all know who you're referring to now. You don't even have to say
it. Being covert, but yeah, have a look there. Yeah, absolutely. There are no one's going to be faultless.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Incredible player. Unfortunate release clause for West Ham United, but gives the ball away a few times, but he's pretty special, isn't he? Anyway, if you haven't already, myself and Gonzo recorded a video for the forum channel earlier talking about West Ham season thus far and why we're enjoying it. And also, could we get European football? That'll be on your screen in a few seconds' time. But if you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, comment, subscribe, new time, chat myself and Gonzo. Catch you in a bit.